Hello and welcome to yet another exciting video of GJ Management Consulting. This would be the final video for the current series whereby we showcase that how business can sustain in the long run. And with this video, we are going to take about a quick look in terms of how emotional agility is an important ingredient to make sure that you can sustain in long. So without much ado, let's start the video and see what is in there for us. Okay, so we'll quickly, have a look at what we're going to cover in this entire presentation. So this small video is a quick snapshot of what we're going to cover in this agenda today. So let's just have a look at this video then.
In today's workplace, strategy matters, technology matters, but one thing matters more: emotional agility. Emotional agility is the ability to stay calm, clear, and centered, even when everything around you is changing. Modern leaders aren't defined by how much they know, but by how well they manage their reactions. Because you can't control the situation, but you can control your response. Great leaders don't suppress emotions, they understand them, they name them, they navigate them with intelligence. And when leaders develop emotional agility, teams feel safer, decisions get clearer, and organizations move faster.
Okay, so let's just quickly move to the first slide and see what exactly emotional agility means. Okay, so what is emotional agility? So move from emotionally reactive to emotionally intelligent. So when we are dealing or when we are working in an organization, we are dealing with human beings, and we know that we are guided by emotions. We know that how sentiments sometimes overpower our ways of working, and how sentiments can at some time leads to conflicts within the organization as well. So emotions are something that needs to be managed very minutely with much more sensitivity and with much more maturity. So let's just understand what emotional agility means. So let's just look at some of the words that define the definition or define the meaning of emotional agility. Recognize emotion. What does this mean? Okay, now we know that agility is the speed. Emotions, we know that the way human reacts or any action has been taken. This is the situation. Now, recognize emotions as a attribute to emotional agility means that the speed at which somebody understand that how a particular situation is going to shape up the emotions of the human being. For example, in the term of crisis, normally what happens, everybody go in panic. And this is a situation wherein a leader has to be calm to make sure that things can be managed in appropriate manner. So we need to understand the ways of working, the crises that are coming, and accordingly we have to recognize that how we have to make ourselves suitable to that particular situation. That is the beauty of the understanding the emotion proactively and reacting accordingly. So if we are able to recognize the emotion proactively, we can definitely have a better reaction to it. Otherwise, we can succumb to a situation and the leadership fails itself. So emotional agility is the way a now age leader recognize a particular situation and act in a very matured way, so that any kind of situations can be handled. Step back from emotional trigger. Very true. Which means that instead of making impulsive decision, reacting very quickly, we have to stay calm. We should not be move ahead with any kind of trigger that any kind of event that trigger the emotional outburst for an individual. So we have to take a step back, stay calm, understand the situation, and then react. Manage emotions mindfully, because if you are a leader, you need to understand one thing, that people are following you, right? And if people are not following you, that means you are not a leader. Which means that if people are following you, they also want you to be mature enough to manage any kind of situation with emotional maturity. And that emotional maturity grows as you move towards the emotional agility. So manage emotions mindfully is another key attribute of emotional agility. Respond with purpose, not react automatically. Very true. This complement from the steps back from the emotional trigger. So we have to be very much cautious that we should not take an action at a speed of a light on happening of an event. We should stay calm, understand what is it, and then we have to act, because at the end of the day we are dealing with the human beings. We have to plan accordingly. We should be mature enough to take any action, because every action has a repercussion. That repercussion is to be understood with maturity, with calmness, so that it should have the positive impact on the organization. And last one is stay flexible in thinking and action. Rigidity is no longer a kind of a attribute of a leader. He or she has to be flexible. Every action needs to have a evaluation, whether how it's going to impact the organization as a whole, and how it's going to impact the individuals who are working in the organization. So that is most important thing that we need to make sure of that when we are dealing with the emotion. But having said that, sometimes people normally confuse the emotional agility with the emotional intelligence. What does that mean, and how we can differentiate between these two? So we're going to cover that in the next slide, and we'll quickly move to next slide to uncover what exactly differs the emotional intelligence with the emotional agility. Okay, so emotional intelligence helps you understand emotion. Emotional agility helps you use them. So by the definition, you need to, I mean, by definition itself, you can be able to differentiate. So emotional intelligence means you have understood the terms and the conditions of emotional intelligence. You have intelligence, you understand what emotions actually are. But emotional agility is the application of those understandings into the real world scenario. And this is the main difference. One is that you have the knowledge. Second is you have the knowledge and you know how, when, and where to apply that knowledge. That is called the emotional agility. So let's just quickly have a look at the differentiating factors. So movement through emotion, flexible adapting, acting with values, while emotional intelligence means awareness of emotion, understanding feelings, and managing reactions. Now, if we try to compare these two at one-on-one basis. So emotional agility means movement through emotion, while emotional intelligence means awareness of the emotion. So which means that intelligence says that you know that there are emotions that needs to be managed, but emotional agility says that how you have to manage and move through those emotions, that is critical. Because if you have an intelligence but you don't have the knowledge to apply that intelligence, that means it's a futile intelligence. So this gives you intelligence, this gives the application. This very much I would say important here. Now this one, understanding the feeling and flexible adapting. So we know that we understand the feeling, but how we could able to apply this feeling, how we are able to are we flexible enough to make sure that which feelings or which emotion needs to be applied at which particular time and in what manner, in what quantum. All these is to be defined by emotional agility, because this gives you the methodology to use this. And any methodology which is required, or definitely methodology application has much more advantage than the knowledge itself. So being a doctor is one thing, but somebody know that how to use the surgical equipment in a operation theater, that is called the application. I know that these are surgical equipment that gives me an intelligence to understand, but if do not have the application to use those surgical equipment in the surgery, then my knowledge is just a knowledge and it's not being applied anywhere. Likewise, managing interactions to acting with values and pressure, because in the real world we are dealing with crisis, we are dealing with situations that demands action, and those actions are real time action. So how we react to particular situation depend upon these kind of the factors here. So which means that emotional agility is the application of the knowledge and emotional intelligence is the knowledge itself. So this is the critical differences or key differences between the emotional agility and emotional intelligence. So let's just take a look and what exactly means that what are the leadership crises nowadays, because when we are talking about leadership crisis, that has the impact of understanding and that requires much more understanding of the emotional agility. So let's just move to the next slide then. Okay, modern leadership crisis. Okay, so how we have to interpret this term here? I mean, we are talking about the situations and the reasons why the importance of emotional agility is having increased in the nowadays business scenario. Because the situation in which we are working, the kind of the environment in which we are working, that necessitates that a leader should have that emotional intelligence to work in the organization. And when we are saying that when leaders can't adapt emotionally, organization can't adapt strategically. So let's just have a look. Complexity. So now we know that we are working in a in an environment that changes that is changing quite oftenly and with a very great speed. And with all these things, complexity is a paramount, and it's a imperative that, and it's a kind of a key ingredient with nowadays working environment. So if there's a complexity, it requires a lot of actions and reactions. And we are, if a leader is not emotionally intelligent and he is not having that emotional agility to apply that emotional intelligence, then definitely a situation cannot be managed. Stakeholder pressure. We are working for multiple stakeholders. We are working for our shareholders. We are working for our customers. We are working for regulatory authorities. We are also working for our bankers who has provided us funds. So all these people have a different objective with which they are associated with us. And as an organization, we are responsible to their aspirations and to the queries and the questions. And this requires the emotional agility to make sure that we respond to them in an appropriate manner, so that at the end of the day, whatever our response is, it should have a positive impact on all our stakeholders. Change fatigue. Changes are happening. It's I mean, changes are happening at the speed of the light. It's not like a change which happened today is not going to happen tomorrow. Change itself is a new normal nowadays. We have covered this topic separately in our earlier presentation as well. And with these changes happening, definitely it require a person to be emotionally agile, so that all those changes can be managed in a subtle manner. And finally, the team stress. I mean, we are working in a stressful environment. Why I'm saying so stress is because a lot of pressures and a lot of pressures are there, and it is obvious that all the stress would come. But a leader is one who convert that stress into calmness and then take a decision accordingly. But to take all those decisions, to manage your emotional agility, leaders require a sort of a framework in which they have to adjust all their emotional agility. So, what that framework is, we're going to speak about that in the upcoming slide. Okay, emotional agility framework. Stability isn't the goal, adaptability is. So, let's just quickly have a look the framework. Show up, face emotions honestly. So the framework in which we have to work is, I mean, we need to understand and we need to acknowledge certain things when we are dealing with emotions, right? What is that one? First one is show up, face emotion honestly. So we have to face the situations, right? And we have to react, but at the same time we have to act to a situation and adjust ourselves in such a way that our our response is not going to create confusion in the mind of other people who are believing in you. So that is most important. So we have to honest, but at the same time make sure that our response is not creating a feeling of panic in our employees or to the people to whom we are responsible. That can be our stakeholders as well. Step out, create space between you and your emotions. So sometimes it do happen that situation come to us and we tend to react very quickly to that. So if a true leader and a leader who has that emotional agility, what he will do, he will, when the situation come, he will take a step back, step out, and before reacting, he absorb that situation, think over it, and then react. So impulsive reaction to a situation will always has have a negative impact on the current, on the situation on which he has to act and in the organization as whole. So if situation come, understand the situation, think that situation, step back, step out, absorb that situation, and then react in a way so that it should have the positive impact to the people who are going to get impacted by that change. Walk your way, respond based on value. So see, walk your way is what? You are emotional agile leader. You know that what are your values, right? So your response should be based on your values rather than the situation on which you have to react. So if you are a true leader and if you are emotionally intelligent and you are equally emotionally agile, then obviously the way you react to a particular situation would definitely would be a much matured way vis-a-vis if somebody and another person who is reacting to the situation who is not have that emotional agility. So your emotional agility is your advantage because people looks upon to you when you react to a particular situation. And if you could able to react to a situation in a subtle way, then definitely you have that maturity within the organization as well. Move on, make small intentional shifts. So I mean, sometime it is also good that we should not react to every situation. Sometime a small piece of silence or let it go can also be one of the option in which situation can be managed. So that is also a part of the emotional agility, which is that we have to understand emotional agility, or emotional agility is not a scientific, it's not a science, it's an art. It's a way we could able to think and react to a particular situation, right? So it's an art, it comes with the experiences. So more experiences, more maturity, more agility, and then we have the more intelligence to manage all those situations with the agility that we have already attained in all these past years. So with this, let's just quickly move to the next slide then. Okay, so why agile leaders outperform? Data gives, they lead with clarity in uncertainty and courage in complexity. So this is what data is showing us. What does that mean to us? So let's just quickly have look at some of the characteristics and why agile leaders outperform. Let's what is it that they do because of which they outperform? Let's quickly have a look at that. With the agility they have, they can make smarter decisions. They can take the decision with much more precision, much more maturity, and hence it has the most positive impact on the organization as a whole. Stay calm in chaos. If you have that agility, and that agility helps you to take decisions, you know that when to react, when not to react. Stay calm, and then definitely you have to take a decision accordingly, act to a situation, avoid chaos, stay calm. Encourage innovation without fear, because without innovation we could not able to sustain in the today's world. So we have a change, we have a crisis, but at the same time we have to make sure that we should be continuously doing the innovation so that we could able to overpower the fear which is there because the change has come. So our emotional agility enable us to take that innovation without any fear. Build resiliency, because if you yourself are resilient, if you yourself are emotionally agile, then definitely you could able to build those kind of teams, which is which is a team of people who are equally emotionally agile and intelligent as you are. Lead, transform faster, because with the agility you have, maturity you have, you could able to squeeze the transformation timeline and you could able to manage the change with a much matured manner. So with this, we'll just quickly have a look at the negative impact of the rigid leadership. What is there? What was not working well because of which we have this emotional agility as the attribute or the characteristics of the now age modern leaders? Okay, emotional rigidity, the silent leadership killer. People don't disengage from change, they disengage from rigid leadership, obviously. And what are the negative attributes of those rigidity? Take things personally, because if a leader is not emotionally agile or not matured enough, is not having that emotional intelligence and then the emotional agility, he is going to take everything personally, and this is a fail of the leadership. Because leadership fail, because if you think everything personally, then you are not doing good to the organization. You are doing good to yourself, but you're not doing good to the organization. React impulsively. I mean, very, very negative impact of rigidity is that you react to a situation rather than absorbing it and then taking an action. This is your understanding and maturity. Avoid difficult conversation. This is a negative impact of leadership, and all rigid leaders have this kind of characteristics and this kind of the personas, because they do not want to sustain, or do not want to manage a situation. And if they could not able to manage the situation, they try to avoid the situation. And by avoiding the situation, you are making the change to overpower you, which is very, very bad for the organization. Struggle during the change. Obviously, if you could not able to manage the change, you will definitely going to struggle in the time of the change itself. And then finally, create a fear-based work culture. These are all the negative impact of the rigid leadership. Uh, so, which means that it is very much important nowadays that the modern age leaders should be emotionally agile, because without this, they could not able to sustain in the organization. But again, what rules are there to manage or to continue with this emotional agility? So let's just quickly have some of the rules, and then take a look at that. What are those rules and how it's going to help uh, a leader to become more emotionally agile? Okay, so what are some of those rules, or we can say tools, to build the emotional agility? So let's just have a look at that. Small daily practices being leadership transformation. Okay, mindful pausing. I mean, you know that these are rules and tools, which means that we should be absolutely clear that it's not always better to respond to a situation. A mindful pause itself is the best reaction to a particular situation. So that is something that we need to be, cognizant of, that we should make sure that when we can do this mindful pausing to a particular situation. Journaling means you can write some of those situation, and plan to figure out that how you have to react rather than reacting at a particular situation instantaneously, and then that can be avoided, and we can avoid those kind of nasty situation if that arises because of the impulsive reactions. Thought distancing, you can you know create some sort of distance between your reaction time versus the situation that has come to you. Think positively before you react, so you can give some time and then give the best reaction on the basis of situation. Cognitive reframing, very, very important, because nowadays what happening that a particular reaction to a situation can be managed in a way that it has the positive impact. For example, let's say if you are giving a kind of a idea to your team, and your team react that this idea may be not the best. So instead of you saying that, you assuming that the team is not trusting you, you can also say that, okay, that this kind of change in the idea is good for the organization. So situational leadership, a kind of situational reframing your thought process to a particular situation is very, very important nowadays. And value identifications, you have to make sure that your reaction should have a positive impact. The kind of values that you bring to the organization, that should be depicted in your decision. So with this, we have come to the end of this session, and then we'll have one slide that quickly showcase that what are some of the key takeaways of this session. So we'll just move to that slide then. Okay, so what are some of the key takeaways? Emotional agility is the core leadership capability of the modern time. Flexibility builds rigidity. Purpose-driven responses outperform the emotional reactions. Emotional agility creates resilient, trusted, high-performing leaders. Emotional agility is not about controlling your emotions. It's about letting your emotions support your clarity, your decision, your thought processes. So these are some of the key takeaways of this entire session. We have reached to the last slide of this session, and I think the entire objective of this session is to showcase the importance of emotional agility nowadays. Because irrespective of the fact that artificial intelligence is there, irrespective of the fact that changes are inevitable, irrespective of the fact that we can change the decisions with the help of the artificial intelligence with the great precision, but at the end of the day, we are dealing with the humans. And if we could not able to we could not able to manage that reaction time with the people, with the emotional agility, somewhere we are failing within the organization. So it is of utmost importance that we every leader who is the modern leader needs to have that intelligence, need to have that emotional agility while dealing with the people in the organization. So with this, let's just move to the last closing slide. Okay, so this is the closing slide, just thank you slide. With this, we have come to the last presentation of this entire series of business, how to manage the business, starting from the fact that when we have entered into the business, when we failed, and then finally how could able to succeed in the business with the emotional agility. Now we are going to come up with two more series. We are going to come up with the series wherein we are going to, give a situation and then be a solution to a particular problem. That series is going to come up, next week. And alongside that, we are also going to introduce one more series, that fun with finance. So we know that people normally think that finance is a serious topic, but definitely how we could able to, introduce an element of fun in that. We are going to come with that series in the next week as well. So we are going to release two short videos to introduce those series very soon. So stay tuned with us and subscribe our channel. Please do watch our videos and the recordings till the end. Please share this video, disseminate the knowledge, and do write back to us in case you want any specific topic on which we can create a detailed video and we can help you to resolve any of your business related problems. Thank you. Stay in touch. Bye bye.